Hi, I'm Susan LeBlanc, and this is Conversations with the Goodman School of Business. My guest today is Professor Antonia Mantonakis. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Professor Mantonakis is an associate professor here at the Goodman School of Business, and you do all this wonderful research into consumer behavior. So you kind of know why we do what we do when we go shopping.
That's right. Yeah.
And you do a lot of work with wine, which is also, so you've got like two really fun areas to look at. But we're here to talk today about your study that you've done recently about how online information can affect consumers and what they decide to do. So maybe tell us a little bit about what that study was.
Well, that's right. We were interested in this idea that consumers can access information at any point in time on their smartphones. And so our research question was, how does this knowledge of this ease of access of information, how does this knowledge of that impact consumer decision making and consumer behavior?
Right.
And purchase behavior.
And one of the things that you had in your paper was the queue of the cloud.
Right.
Yeah. So what is the queue of the cloud?
The cloud is this idea of server networks, and so we thought, what if we simply reminded consumers that anything you learn about this product is also available online. So imagine you go into a winery and you learn about the Sauvignon Blanc and everything it pairs with. If you simply remind the consumer that, hey, what you learn about today, it's all online. Does that have an impact on their decision making?
Right. Mm-hmm. And you find that it does, in fact.
So we did a couple studies, with a new product like these melatonin sleep sheets that people don't usually know about, and with wine, and so we did a variety of different products, and we did find that when there was this online reminder of online information, which is what we call the queue of the cloud, that it influences purchase intentions and purchase behaviors.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so, what were some of the experiments that you did? Because I know you do a lot of experimenting with actual people and seeing how they react to things. So what were some of the things that you set up?
Well, we did some lab studies with the sleep sheets, but one of the studies I'll describe we did with our friends at Riverview Cellars, and this was during the Taste the Season. It's like a wine festival, and during one of the weekends, the sign that they displayed looked something like this, and they featured the Sauvignon Blanc, and it just says, here's some information about this wine, and you can visit us at the winery anytime. And on another weekend, we had virtually identical sign, also they're featuring the same wine, but here we have a picture of a tablet, and we say you could find information about this wine online. We also had a tablet displayed in the winery, and what we found is during that weekend, people were more likely to say they wanted to purchase the wine and that they actually spent more money on those weekends.
The idea being that they could buy the wine. They know they've heard about the wine there. They can buy it. They can go home and find out the information they just heard, but they weren't going to remember.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And we know that all of us are totally dependent on our iPhones and on Google and all of that sort of thing. And you did a little bit of look into that as well. Yeah.
What motivated this research question that we looked at with these products was just some growing body of literature that shows that because consumers have everything available to them, think about, you don't have to remember phone numbers anymore, you don't have to remember directions, like product-related information. Virtually everything is stored in your phone or on Google. And previous research has shown that people think this is like a memory partner, that it's people think that, I remember Susan's phone number, but really it's not that they remember Susan's phone number, their phone knows Susan's phone number.
Yeah.
And so based on this previous research, we thought, what does this have, how does this impact consumer decision making? Does this give them more confidence? Does this make them more likely to want to buy a product if they know that the information is stored there in the cloud?
Right. And
it does.
It does. So our reliance on Google, what will we do if Google ever goes down?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
What do we do without our, it is amazing how much we do rely on it. It's become such a key part of our lives. And now you've had some other key takeaways and findings from the research that I know some of these bottles here you wanted to talk about. So maybe let us know about that.
Well, I guess there are two takeaways to this research. One is that there are these subtle influences that consumers can have on their, on their purchase decisions and their actual behavior. And, subtle things like previous research we did at Riverview, when they were reprinting the labels, I know they wanted to test the impact of the winemaker's signature. We found that there was an impact on purchase, but only for people from Ontario. So it's good to know how these things impact consumers and for which consumers. One of my recent Covey students did a study on the impact of awards versus reviews on consumer behavior. And so this is a study that, again, we found that if it's somebody who is lower knowledge about wine, they really rely on these awards. People who have higher knowledge, well, then it depends on the reviewer and their knowledge of the reviewer. It could go either way because they might not have the same palate or the same opinion. And so, so that's the first. And the second is that it's really, really easy for managers to do studies like this, especially if they work with somebody from Goodman, who has the knowledge and expertise, who can do the statistical analyses or analyze the data in different ways. And so it's something that I think is available to be considered. And
so that's really interesting. So the signature only really had an effect on consumers in Ontario.
Yeah, we also did it. We did some studies in the U.S. with my co-author, Carrie Kettle, and we used cheeses. And when the farmer was from the same home state as the person, as the consumer, they were more likely to be influenced by the signature and make that connection. If the farmer signed it, but they were from a different state, there was no connection. So it really seems to be this personal connection to the person's identity.
That's really interesting. Yeah. Well, you've done some fascinating work. I know you do lots of work on consumer behavior, but this has just been one of your studies. It's been very fascinating. Thank you for coming by.
Thank you.
And hope we'll have you come back some other time and talk about some of your other research and findings. But I think that's it for today, and we'll wrap up. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see you again soon on our next conversation.